Our whole family enjoyed Evergreen Christian Church. Certainly Donna and I as much or more than the kids did. I suppose because we'd had a little more experience with church congregations. But we were all happy there. The kids made friends with wonderful young people, and they've kept contact with some of those friends over the years. We're proud of them for doing that, and proud that those friends want to keep contact with our kids. Now, of course, we did get off to a pretty sorry start one of the very first Sundays that we went. For reasons that are history and I don't remember them. That day, one of us left in one car, and a little later, the other one came in the second car. That time we had that black Ford and the old Nash Ambassador Club coupe. I suspect that Donna came later and brought the baby. I don't know. Doesn't really matter. What's important is the church ended. And just as we had not left together to come to church, we didn't leave together to go back home. I don't know who left first. And I think it's quite possible, being an absent-minded professor, that I maybe had been told to pick the baby up, whether I took the baby or didn't. What I do know is that when we were both at home, and I think I got there second, I'm not sure, we both looked at each other and said, "Hey, did you get Rhonda?" No. So we're just headed out of the door to go out and get into a car and rush back to church, hoping that somebody has stayed with that baby waiting for us to come get her. And in drives the Huckabees. Now, we had already met the Huckabees, but this is meet them on a little more intimate level. They drive in honking the horn and saying, "Hey, you forgot something," and handed our baby over to us. Good people. Did it with a sense of humor and did us a big favor, and we didn't have to be worried for another 5 or 10 minutes rushing back to find out if our baby was all right. And it helped us not get too serious with each other about, hey, who did forget the baby? I don't remember it being a source of any discussion at all. We were just glad to have her home and have our family complete. Well, we were just as happy as we could be with that little church. It was sitting kind of on the top of a ridge. Was on the top of a ridge, although there was still higher on behind it. And the way it was built, right out the window, you could see the mountains and the trees as you sat in the pews and looked towards the front. It was certainly big enough for the congregation as it existed at that time. And this church was kind of like the senior center thing at Douglas, Kansas. The people wanted it, and they had gotten together to raise the money and get it built. And Bob Jensen had designed the plan. And he not only designed the plan for the little church as we knew it at that time, he had designed a plan that included an expansion, anticipating that the church would grow and would need more space. We liked the preachers. When we first went up there, the preacher, I believe his name is Hassenjaeger, and he was somewhat of a military man. And we liked him. Visited his home a time or two. And then we had Max Glenn and his little family. And Max we enjoyed. And we enjoyed the way he would use experiences with his son as part of making some points from the pulpit. We lost him to the central office of the church back in Indianapolis. And Charles McKenzie came. Wow. Probably the best sermons Sunday after Sunday. that we experienced in our church life. A very thoughtful minister that had a message, a Bible-based message, a spiritual message. He sent you away well fed. Oh, and his wife Betty was a teacher and joined the Evergreen Junior High School staff. Over those years, Donna was times, maybe all the time, after the first year, I don't really remember, but she was a deaconess. I served as a deacon and then later as an elder. And for quite some time, we were asked to start, the minister wanted to start a young adults class and asked me if I'd be the teacher. Ordered and supplied me with some fine materials to use. And for a while, in a little kitchen area of the basement, we had some very invigorating and challenging, for me at least, Sunday school experiences. It was very, very nice. I'm going to close with a comment that's kind of negative. But you know, you've always, well, maybe you haven't, I'd always heard that the bitterest fights of all are family fights. And the next and almost as bitter sometimes are church fights. I don't know what happened, but one of the probably leading financial contributors to the church, one of the leaders in the church, began a campaign to undermine Charles McKenzie. That hurt the church. It certainly hurt Charles, hurt me, hurt Donna. I don't know why those things have to happen, but when they do, it's not good.